Hello and welcome back. This is ProTaleDev back with another crystal sales video, and this time it's day 5 of this sort of self-contained game jam. Now I have a little bit of a cold and I've got a sore throat, so I'm just going to keep this brief, try and not go into too much detail. First things first, you're going to notice immediately that I've basically visually removed the water and the seabed and a lot of other different things like the dock and everything while I was inputting and changing the sizes of all of the different rocks. So immediately, if I quickly zoom out here, you can see that there's a lot more rock, there's a lot more islands to explore, and there's a lot more space. So basically what we got here is I've got 3 different islands that I've created. So if we just go into our prefabs, and you can see that we got our different island size. So right here, we actually have our, I believe this is the medium, we have the large island right here, and we also have the small island right here. Around them we have a barrier, so this barrier is going to protect any kind of ships or any other player from any kind of enemies that spawn just after traveling, so an event doesn't occur while you're on an island, when you're not driving, when you're not sailing a ship. However, if you're sailing and you do pull up to an island, and none of the sharks or whales or any kind of creatures can get to you. So yeah, we do have that barrier. So if I just quickly click this, you can see the barrier around this. It's just a collider that will only collide with enemies. It won't collide with anything else. Then of course we actually have the island itself. So all of the different, again, this is just a small island, so only a couple of resources here, but enough to keep you going, keep you alive, and just add to whatever you need to craft later. The main island in the very middle of the map will be the main station for building new ships. So essentially you can kind of craft anything anywhere, but the ships will appear at the main island. Again, we can quickly look at the medium, and again, similar thing right here, multi-layered, and then a large island, which is much larger in general. And I'm just going to enable everything, just so you can see. Oh, apart from the canvas, I'm just going to make so that we don't have to see that. You can see immediately all of our water, our different size. It does seem a bit laggy, but don't worry, that'll be fine once we build the game out. And I do a bit of frame rate work and optimization. So as you can see, we've got these little islands right here. Again, the lighting isn't built and I've turned it off while I was building everything, but if I just turn everything back on, it'll compile very quickly. And while that's going on, what I can do is I can talk about the next thing. So there we go. Our next thing is that I've essentially added in the sharks, whales, and eruption prefab. Now you did see it briefly and I did just mention it, but I'll quickly show it. So it doesn't look very nice at the moment. It's just basically just there temporarily. There's going to be an actual effect occurring from this. But at the moment it's just this as a representation of the collision. It's just a trigger, so when the ship goes into it, it'll take damage. Then we have the large whale right here, which is just a giant weird looking fish that I got, one of these free models. And then we have the shark, which is a pretty cool model actually. It's a low poly shark, and that's going to come towards you with a bunch of other sharks. I'm going to very quickly mention now that I've also added in to different kinds of trees and rocks and things. I've added in a random rotation size script. I do this for a lot of games, but basically when the game starts, we're going to determine if an object should have a random rotation or a random size, just as it sounds. It's a very basic script, but I usually implement this to objects that are stationary in the first place, just to add a bit of variety to islands and to the environment. Another thing, I have in fact added sound into the game, and I'm hoping that this will work, because I couldn't get it to work before, but in the recording I mean, but the sound is working. Hopefully it does come through. Let's give it a go. So what you should be able to hear in the distance is all of the waves, the sound effects. It'll be much more clear when you're actually playing it yourself, but hopefully it's not too loud. Basically we have a bunch of sound effects for the whales, the sharks, the cannon fire shooting when it impacts. We've also got of course the ocean, and then we've got some pickup sounds and sounds for the main menu once that's finished, which I'll be working on for the next day. I'll be trying to get all the UI essentially finished for the options menu and the main menu, trying to get things completed. Another thing is that the next day we'll also try and add in the objective, the overall finish, which is in there in the code, but it's just not been implemented completely. Another thing to mention is at the bottom right, you can see the UI change, so we can see our hunger, which is much more easily visible. You can tell how much it is based on the bar, the green bars, it's slowly going to the right, and you can also see it from the number, so the hunger is at 91 at the moment out of 100. Now, the second I press this and we get onto the boats, they start sailing, you'll immediately see different UI. So at the bottom right, if we just press 1 right here to board, so it's just 1 to mount to get onto the boat and start driving, and it's 2 to disembark. So what we're going to do is we're just going to sail as if it's normal, so we're just going to press forward on our galleon, which is the best, and as you can see on the bottom right, we have our damage, the amount of damage we've taken so far, and we also have our controls. Now we can turn, we can move around, it's much easier to see what we're doing. I can put down the anchor, and you can see the anchor lights up with the UI. This was all done by me in Paint.net. I did that very quickly. As you know, I use Paint.net if it's something I want to quickly make with not too many pixels, and if it's something more complicated, I'll use Photoshop. Anyway, if we just carry on, so lift up the anchor, just carry on, we can turn, we can move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire, and hopefully you can hear this. Hopefully it's not too loud. I'm not 100% sure how loud it is yet until I've adjusted some settings. But once again, what I'll do is I'll shoot. And as you can see, it's created a direct line on either side for the galleon. And that is basically going to cover what the galleon's adjustments were for firing. So I did a quick adjustments to the angles of all of the ships to make them seem a lot better and feel a lot better. Now if we were to get out, this is another change that I've done. If we get out and press 2, obviously this is fine, I fixed this issue before, but what we can actually do is we can actually jump off. Sorry about that, I had to pause the game for a second and I had to stop. But I'm back now. I did actually die while I was away, but I'm back, and what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to quickly get back on the galleon and show what happens when you do fall off the ship. So something that we do before is let's just quickly set sail. There is a shark right in front of us, which is not ideal. We are stuck on the water over there. You can see we did just take a little bit of damage, and a fog has just started. Let's just anchor right here. So as you can see, an event just started, which was the fog, but more importantly at the bottom right, you can see we just took 50 damage from that shark that was in front of us, from an event that just started a minute ago, and you can see we've actually took a little bit of damage. You can see a blue line that's appeared, and if we do take more damage, the boat will slowly fill up with water. At the moment that's not happening on the ship itself, but it is showing up on the UI on the bottom right to show damage. You can see we got whale charge, so what we're actually going to do is just charge right into it. As you can see, we just took a little bit more damage from the whale, and another event has started. I've got them on pretty quick just to try and test them, and what we can actually do is we can leave the boat. So if I just press 2 and disembark, what we can do is we can jump off the ship, and what should happen is we should just spawn on this ship. So as you can see, we jump on, and yes, we spawned on this ship. So now whenever you craft a ship, the checkpoint will update to whatever ship you crafted and whatever you drove for previously. So if I were to then go on a different ship over there, say the Brigantine, and I were to jump off the side or fall in the water for whatever reason, I would spawn on that ship. This means you can't just teleport back. So previously what you could do is you could sail across the island, collect a bunch of resources, and just jump in the water and you'd spawn back at your own island. Now you can't do that, so essentially now you have to you'll just spawn back at the ship you were previously at, and of course that's going to be at island basis, so that makes things a lot better and you can't really exploit it as much. I'm sure people would find a way to exploit anything you do, but that's a lot better than what we had. When the ship does reach the final damage number, which is 1000 out of 1000 for this galleon, it'll basically despawn and reset back over there. So whatever island you're on, you're kind of just going to have to jump in the water, and then you're going to have to recraft it. and that's going to take a bunch of resources, and that could be huge. If you don't have the resources, you're going to have to maybe go for a different, a lower ship, a smaller ship, and that could be a huge thing as well. Now I'm going to go into the events in much more detail next video, because I'm hoping to have the events completely done by then. The events I still need to work on them a bit, because they're a little bit outrageous and kind of a bit silly at the moment. I'm still testing a lot of things, so I'm just going to leave it there for the video for today. So this has been the 5th day of the crystal sales, and I'll basically see you next time for the 6th day. Hopefully we'll have a lot of things done in the 6th day, so I'll see you then.